What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Lone Wolv Podcast. I'm your host, Wolfson, and today's episode, we're going to talk about the art of sound designing. Is it a luxury for us EDM producers, or in general, engineers and artists and whatnot, or is it actually a necessity for producers? Now, before we go in, let me explain what the term of sound designing is for the people who don't know about it, although you should know what it means. I mean, the word itself says it all, sound design. But let me explain a little bit of definition of what I believe it is, and you can fact check me if you want. Just comment down below and let me know. So, it's basically the art of creating a sound out of nothing, or by doing a certain effect with certain frequencies into your plugins or DAWs, and believe it or not, you just created a sound out of thin air by just doing a lot of crazy tech stuff out of it in your DAWs. And before you know it, boom, sound design. That's how you do it, baby. That's how you do it. Now, many have thought that being a great sound designer is the only way to be a successful EDM producer. That's not entirely true, and it's a little bit far from it. And we have to define what people are trying to say, because I understand where they're coming from, but there are different levels to it. So we're going to go deep and dive into this and discuss the myth behind it, which genre really tends to incline more into sound designing than others, what are the benefits into it, what's the long haul into it, is it really worth it, my final thoughts, and my top 5 plugins for sound designing on any sound for either beginners all the way to pros. Now, this is gonna be one interesting episode as well, because we're gonna also, fact checking for our previous episode, talking about, our priorities. And this is the episode in which the part in sound designing really tends to hit home run, because this is the part where you are gonna tend to do a lot and spend a lot of hours into it, just like we talked in our previous episodes. You can also check it out. So be sure to like and subscribe your weekly episodes at the Lone Wolv Podcast for Spotify, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, and iHeartRadio, as well as the YouTube channel at lonewolfpod.com. That's lonewolfpod.com, where you can check all my latest episodes. You can also follow me at any of my social medias for recent updates, topics, clips, as well as the Twitch channel, where you can now see all my podcasts on live air before its actual release at the Wolves and Music. So you can check me out at Twitch at Wolves and Music, as well as any of my other social medias. Now, without further ado, let's get started. This is the Lone Wolv Podcast. Boom! I got the sample pack from Modestep. Shout out to Modestep, my brothers Josh and Pat. Shout out to those guys. Yeah, like they got a sample pack. I just got it, and yeah, I heard Josh's vocals. Oh my god, and I thought that was so perfect. I was like, shit, I want to make a song out of this. It got me back into making music. So I started on a project. It's like, oh shit, I want to do this. Like, I want to do this really badly. Like, yeah, I don't know. And if I do a great job, maybe I can just show it to them and like, yo, like I'm putting you guys as a featuring, because like I use your sample pack. It's only fair to give you credit where credit is due. I always am adamant about that. I'm not gonna release a song with his vocals and some of their drums. Pat's drums, like, oh, I love them. If Phil's and everyone, like, I'm not gonna make a song that I made out of their sample pack without giving them credits. Like, no, I'm gonna give them the credit that they deserve. They did a great job, a hell of a job out of it. But yeah, I don't know. I know I've already started something. I don't want to see how far I can go. So I don't know if you guys ever want to think that you want me to, stream on some of my sessions. Hit me up, guys. All right, we're gonna start this new episode because I'm starting to hear a lot of movement outside of my apartment. And it's my fucking brother, bro. This guy is a party dude. Like, this guy has no filters on going out or inviting people in our apartment without my knowledge. It's It's one of these days. It's like, why the fuck am I here? I should have my own apartment. Like soon I'll have it with my girl. We'll have our own place. I don't need to hear this bullshit anymore. Anyways, let's get into this, guys. So what's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Lone Wolv Podcast. Today's topic, we're going to talk about sound designing. Is that a luxury or a necessity? Now, I'm gonna be straight with you guys. This is something that I've been hearing this for as long as I can remember. Even when I was a house DJ, I remembered this thing about sound designing, and I never really saw through why is everybody so obsessed of sound designing. Obviously, because it sounds dope when you actually put it on a song. But why is it like a necessity to actually be doing this? Well, obviously, because everybody believes that, if you are good at sound designing, you're gonna be a successful EM producer. I had to burst your bubbles, but that statement there's so many holes in it. And the reason why I say there's many holes around it is that yes and no. There's like a 1% of yes, it can help you be a successful producer or whatever you're trying to get to. However, you don't have to be a successful EDM producer if you're only good at sound designing. That is false, because let me tell you, Drew and Steven from Cymatics, shout out to those guys. They only done sound designing. That's their whole goal. They sell samples, that's what they do. They sound presets and whatnot. They already did the sound stuff, but they're not EDM producers. None of them. Oh, what about those templates that they do sell with the presets and whatnot that they buy? It's like, well, let me tell you something, guys. They hire people to make sounds. They hire people, because I remember they hire Company and they hire Phase One and Adair and Wooly back in the days. They hired those producers to make a song. Like, hey, make a template-like song using these presets that we did. And that's what they did. That's basically what they did. They basically did a song and they had to do it. There's nothing to it. So you don't have to be so you could be a great sound designer and not be a EDM producer. The thing is that these guys know how to market themselves. That's the thing. That's why they fly so much, and they actually over the top on selling one of the biggest sample packs or presets in the whole entire community, because they know how to market themselves. They know how to get to the up and comers and hey, you can sound like him, which is dope. I mean, it's dope that they actually thought about the community. Let me help you in some way of shape. But if anything, it damaged the community a bit, because now everybody's I bought these presets from Cymatics. You can hear some of the songs that I did it from Cymatics, that they came from Cymatics. You know how I know that? It's because some of the songs, some of the sounds are phasing like a motherfucker. I told this to Celts the other day. I was like, dude, they did that on purpose because they want to know if if you're using their sound or not. If they're using their sound, they can leverage that to themselves. It's like, hey, this artist did this. That's why they phase. Some of these artists don't even realize that was phasing. Some of them do, and I'm pretty sure they corrected that phasing aspect. And then a lot more they didn't know, and they just leave it as is because it sounds cool, which may be true, but then inclines me more that you didn't do anything. You just basically slap it because it sounds good, and you're just giving them more power to them, because it's based on them. I really never knew what was the issue of why it's sound design. I feel sound design is important. Absolutely. I'm an advocate about that. I will push sound designing on any aspect or any shape or sound on any genre. That being said, it is a luxury. It is not a necessity. I will say that. Hear me out. It is not a necessity that you need to learn how to sound design to be a successful producer or engineer or stuff because again, some engineers don't sound design, and then some they do. And then you got some producers that a lot they sound design, and a lot of them they just use the presets. Like I've heard Carnage before, the whole Carnage debacle about, he using silent presets to make his basses fat. He just basically turned everything up, and obviously the whole thing about him like got plugin that wasn't bought, and then he has excuse like it wasn't my laptop. It's like, all right, it wasn't yours. Bet. And then Layback Luke, I've heard of him, which is very important. Is like, it's not a necessity that you have to be a sound designer to make music, because on his genre, it doesn't really much need all that weird shit or weird glitches or weird sounds. It's more simplistic. Like basically the house scene. Like I criticize a lot of the house, more so the tech house or the techno or whatever, because they all sound the same to me. So because I feel they sound the same to me, and judge me or tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. It's the same beat, the same bars on a drop. It's the same bass. You're just making it move or doing other stuff. All right, come on. I challenge you to tell me otherwise. If I pull up like various techno or tech house tracks or deep houses, like they're pretty much the same in their respective genres, of course. But I'm telling you guys, it is the bullshit. And there's not enough sound designing in there. There's not into it. Like I literally can do it. It's basically a simple sine wave bass that makes it that they clean it up and they make it sound very movement or something like that. But it is the same shit. And I tell you, some of these great artists from the house scene, like the Dirty Bird Crew, like Justin Martin, Club Van Stroke, and some of these other people from the Martini Brothers, if they do music, I don't know. Tony, Loco Dice, there you go, Loco Dice, and my boys, the Z Boys, Christopher Alexander, that's my boy. Shout out to you, Shaggy. They do their sound design, but it's not really sound design because they just basically like sample or resample. Even though sample or resampling is a form of sound design, but they don't do much out of it. They don't do what we normally do as mostly bass music producers, in which we literally fuck everything up to the point like this sound is like holy shit, So that whole aspect on the house side, the trance, any other simple genres don't really need to be sound designing, because most of it's just happy music and it's just simplistic presets that they pull out the stock presets from their plugins, whichever plugins they're into. They just use the stock presets, guarantee. They just twitch the knots, and that's how they get their unique sounds. Well, to me, it's not unique, but others will defer. But anyways, yeah, they just, that's what they do. Now in the bass music scene, however, it is an emphasis of sound designing. Why we put so much pressure on it, I don't know. But I have theories about it. One of them in which sound itself, sound designing, is an endless, limitless way to create new stuff out of it. Because some of the top producers that we hear, their sounds are just unique and different from everywhere else. And obviously, it's because of all the time they dedicated. Like sound designing is not like you will learn more how to sound design more than you would have when you're making a song, a construction song. Believe it or not. Like you will dedicate hundreds of hours of just sound designing. Hundreds of hours. I actually time myself. I've done almost probably at least 200 hours of sound designing. That's kitty shit compared to one of the best sound designers or best producers, such as in the noise people from the drum and bass, the dubstep like the Zomboys and the companies, in the like Jaws. Jaws is still in the house scene, but some of his stuff is still unique and he had to put some effort on it. Yeah. Like sound design is definitely an important aspect for us bass producers because, that's what we put. I don't know why we put so much emphasis out of it. But again, I'm theorizing it. It's because it's stuff that we're used to. And then when somebody comes around and makes whatever that idea came and turn it into something bigger and better, people would just go lean into it. Like when Snails came around and started the whole vomit set because it sounds just so gnarly. It's just go like it's gnarly as fuck compared to a sound that you would hear from a Zomboid track. And then Excision comes around with his unique metallic sound, and then Trampa comes out and goes with the siren shit. And then I heard others, the Maruda now does his famous sirens, and Trampa just basically uses sirens and then makes it, move around. Like stuff like that actually like makes it sound unique. And it's like, okay, so this is some shit that he will do, or this will do it. And then before you know it, it's basically the same concept, but in a different sound. So I guess that's how people are like generalizing it, because when you're trying to release a song, you don't want to sound like Zomboid. You don't want to sound like Trampa. You don't want to sound like this certain artist. You want to be known as who you are, a unique person. And that's the biggest error that error. It's a mistake that these up-and-comers are doing a lot, which is trying to sound like your favorite artist. And that's why they don't come on. That's why even though your sound design is like holy shit, and your music is holy shit, mix and master, whatnot, you send it to these labels, the labels are going to respond to you with, nah, it's not in it for us, thank you. Or they're not going to respond to you. And you wonder why? Why is it that it's not in it for you? Like, my shit is on point. A lot of people say that, holy shit, is good. A lot of producers gave me a critique feedback and I did it. Why? Most of the labels, they don't want to tell you, but they'll just say like, well, it's because we already have somebody that sounds like this. Why do we need you? I've said this before on other episodes. I forgot. But yeah, like what benefit us? Like why do I need you? If you sound like Zomboid, why does Never Say Die wants to release your song to sound like Zomboid, one of their artists, when they can just tell Zomboid, hey, can you do this? Basically, that's how it is. They're not gonna waste their fucking time if you sound like one of the artists. And obviously, they're not gonna waste their time if you're gonna sound like someone from other labels artists or an artist that's already out there. They're not stupid. They know. They do their research. You honestly believe that Zomboid doesn't listen to any of the Disciples' music like Virtual Riot or Barely Alive or Mode Step or Terra Vita, 12 Panic? Shit, everyone plays each other's music. You honestly believe nobody's gonna notice that I may sound like Zomboid, and if I release it on Disciple will take it because they don't have anybody on their label that sounds like Zomboid? Fuck no. Disciple would know. Disciple would know who Zomboid is. They don't want anybody that sounds like him. They want somebody unique, brand new. Give me something new, something that I never heard of. Another perfect example is Eliminate. Eliminate's sound is such unique. Whether it's on trap or dubstep, it's those weird, plucky frequency shifter shit. It sounds unique. It's something brand new that nobody will listen to. Barely Alive sound, it sounds more of a heavy, gnarly dubstep with the elements of retrospect stuff, That's your thing. So, yeah, guys, like if you ever guys want to do sound design, you create your own shit. That's why it takes a lot. Like sometimes people don't even realize what their sound is until it's too late. Because believe it or not, even though you're the one who thought about the song, somebody released a song that almost sounds like your song. It was like, oh shit, you're too late. Now you gotta think of something. But yeah, guys, that's the gist of sound designing. Like, what are the benefits behind it? Believe it or not, there's a lot of benefits behind sound designing, because if you can actually sound design a certain sound or recreate a sound or resample a sound to make a new sound, bro, bro, like you can land on any other genre of music and make a song, and boom, you got it. Not only that, it makes it sound more unique on that, but also sound designing doesn't have to end on being a music producer. Sound designing, that's you don't have to be a successful EDM producer to be a great sound designer. No. All the sample packs that I've heard so far from cymatics, from I was about to say a lot of sample packs, but it just blew me around. Oh, the perfect example. Splice has a bunch of sample packs. The most recent ones, like the Mode Step and the Sample Fires, like people from Disciple had little sample packs and designs, and it's from great sound designers, and you can use those. I mean, if you pay for them, of course, but resample that. You don't have to be a great producer to do so. That was a bad example. That really is, because all those guys are actually very good at making music, except for cymatics. There's others. There's others that I know. What about that? That's their actual name. What about productions? And Jesus, so it's cymatics. What about productions? And another company, I forgot. Those guys don't release music. They do samples. They do sound designs. So doesn't have to end like shit. I'm a great sound designer, but I can't release songs because I don't know how to make songs or doesn't sound good. Well, here's some other options. You can actually go do sample packs, build into the community, let everybody know that you're doing sample packs, be part of the competition with these other guys. There's real money behind it because the money goes directly to you. There's no label processing or any of that shit. Probably the only fee you will have to pay is the people who are putting it out, like Splice and such. People make music. I'm just making sounds on sample packs and whatnot. Hell yeah, and people will continue to use it if the sounds are legit and good. Shit, people want more and more. You can also be, hear me out, a good sound designer for studios, for filmmaking studios, gaming studios. I really envy a lot the people that actually sound design on games, because some of the games, believe it or not, do a lot of Foley art. And Foley art is another part of sound design. They recreate these sounds and some unique sounds, like a monster growl or the sound of a robot moving or swinging or stuff, or shit like that. Like that sound wasn't invented by recreating a sound that was already made in real life. No, somebody had to recreate that sound to make it sound unique and similar to that. Like spaceships. Like, how the fuck do you know what a spaceship sounds? We don't have any spaceships as of right now that I'm aware of. I mean, we don't have a fucking Death Star or the USS Enterprise or any of the Covenant ships from Halo. I don't know how the fuck did those guys come up with the sound? They had to come up from somewhere. It was created by something and make that illusion that this is how a spaceship sounds. So obviously, it's a huge benefit for being a sound designer. Now, what's the long haul into this? Well, pretty much, it'll get you far. It'll get you far on any sort of industry that you're trying to get into. For heck, you can also make, sound designing for producers, ghost producing, or you can also make sample packs. You can also do filmmaking or game foreign. Like it's really worth it. So some of the benefits that fall into it, like it pays off for being a great sound designer. But it is a luxury. Not gonna lie, it is a luxury. You don't have to. You could just be one of those people that don't know how to sound design and just use presets and just like twitch the knobs or something so it sounds a little bit different, and then bam, you got your song. That's fine. And it's fine on whichever genre you do it. But I believe that in the bass music scene, they emphasize more on the sound design, and it's not a luxury. It's a necessity that you have to learn how to sound design. I believe it's a luxury because people make songs without sound design, without even doing an inch of sound designing, and yet their songs are bangers. But at the end of the day, I believe it's a necessity because it will help you understand the concepts of why a certain sound is. Understand why this will fuck up more the sound and it sounds very trashy, why this can make it sound more inclined to better sound, wider. Like, why is this important? Why is this even good? Why is this frequency has to be at this much? Or why is this automation is like this? Like, there's a lot of benefits to it. Like, it will help you up in the long haul by getting you all sorts of things, all sorts of knowledge, and getting you in sorts of career opportunities. It could be a game changer, to be honest. It definitely is worth it. It's worth investing yourself on sound designing. Now, I said earlier that, I've done like at least 200 hours of sound designing. That's me, at least. I've known people who've probably spent thousands of hours of just sound design. I kid you not. I know for sure that shout out to you, Lane. He's gonna have a new name and new alias. Whenever he comes out with his new alias, I'll shout him up to it properly. I know he spends thousands of hours. Company spends thousands of hours. Wooly, nitty gritty. Anybody from any of these labels spend thousands of creating a certain sound. Even their own sounds. They use their sounds and they mess it up even more. And now it's a new form of a sound. And boom. Like, sound designing doesn't have to be like, it has to be created by the original. It has to be created something new. Like, no, you can actually fuck up with this original sound that you already created before and create something new. Believe it or not, makes your life easier. And believe it or not, that's another method of getting your own sound signature, because that's the only way people will know about you. It's like, oh shit, that's a Wolfson sound, because this sound sounded almost the same as the other one, but it's different. It's somehow different. Resampling is another form of sound designing. Absolutely. Take a sample and then fuck it up or throw a bunch of effects and other shit, and before you know it, it's a new sound. It's a brand new sound, and all the shit it can fuck with. Even sound designing on the presets. I hate to call it that it's another method of sound designing, but it is. It's another method. Because you're basically doing the same thing as you were doing your own sound. You're just basically tweaking it up or fuck it up even more. But I've seen people that what they take those presets is like whatever the original sound is, they sample it, like they put it on a wave format. Now we're gonna resample it, add more effects, more flavor to it, and before you know it, it's another song. They basically destroyed the original sound, right? So that's another way, and it's an easier, effective way to do it. Not gonna about it. As long as it doesn't sound as the original sound, I'm all good about it. So we're gonna wrap this up because this is one of those quick episodes. I'm not gonna be mad about it. My final thoughts into this. I feel like sound designing is definitely a thing, and you guys should learn more about it, dedicate more hours about it. Yes, sound designing, I believe, is a necessity, in my opinion. I said it before in this episode that, yeah, it's a luxury. Yeah. It's a luxury and the way it's very hard to say. Let me see how I can process this. It is a luxury to learn how to sound design because not everybody can do it. In that aspect, that's why I'm saying it's a luxury. Not everybody can sound design. Laid by Luke doesn't sound design. He uses its presets and just tweaks it up a bit. Like, he doesn't know how to sound design. Carnage doesn't sound design for shit. His shit is just distorted. Other house guys as well, they don't do shit. Like, it's just basically a preset from someone else or somebody give it to them, because I've heard it before. I've seen it before. However, on the bass music scene, if you're actually gonna be a bass music producer, it is a necessity to learn how to sound design and be a great sound designer, because it's the only way for you to get through some of these labels and some of these artists. That's how it's the only way for them to acknowledge you. If they say like, holy shit, this guy did it on his own and did a nasty sound on his own without even creating another one, sounds like, oh shit, I want this guy. And if it sounds good, labels are not gonna let you go. They want you, So it's a luxury necessity, because not everybody can do it. But one thing's for sure is that if you're gonna be dedicated on sound designing, you have to put in the hours. It's something similar to what I explained a little bit, a brief explanation of what I did on the previous episode about like, should you go out or should you stay producing? in other episodes as well. Like sound designing, if you're gonna do it, it's heavily dedicated. You need to dedicate your time of it because it's literally time consuming and you have to spend hours and hours and hours and hours on making sounds of different sounds and see what this sound can take you to what. It is time consuming and you have to be very patient because sometimes your initial drop may not be the same drop that you will have in later projects, and you may actually change it because you're never gonna have the perfect drop on the first try of a sound design. That's impossible. That like you're not that fucking good. I kid you not. You started out with a certain drop, and all of a sudden the drop sounds little You thought it was good, so you had to keep fucking it up even more and more and more and more until your drop sounds like holy shit. And it took you hours to do that. It wasn't on the first try, and that's it. No, it goes with second, the third, fourth, fifth, seventh, 10th tries until you actually get your actual drop. It's time consuming, and you had to be persistent. Like, yeah, guys, like sound designing at that point it becomes a luxury if you see it like that. But if you really want to be a successful EDM producer, at least in the bass music scene, if you want to be into trap, into dubstep, into drum and bass, or somewhere along the lines in the bass era, you have to dedicate your time on sound design. It's a must. And as well, if you can use this for later on to sell your sample packs, your own sounds, selling your own presets. And if a gaming company comes or a film company comes out to you, it's like, I like your sound. Can you sound design for this, and that? Bro, you already got the skills for it. So it's a walk in the water for you on this part, So definitely it's a must. So we're gonna wrap this up, guys. Thank you very much. I'm gonna mention you guys the top 5 plugins for sound design that I highly recommend it for anybody who's a beginner or a pro or in between. So my number 5 plugin that I will recommend, Massive. Massive's actually pretty good for making a lot of cool sounds. It might look like a little tedious, but once you get used to where all things go and how to mess around with stuff, it's actually pretty easy to do so, Number 4, and this is more for Ableton's Wave. This is a Ableton stop plugin, so this one's actually more for Ableton people. The Wavetabler plugin. I highly recommend for you guys to use the Wavetabler plugin because, believe it or not, it's like a serum, bro. It is like a serum, but you have to mess around with it a little bit, and you can make gnarly sounds out of it, and it's actually pretty cool. And the cool thing about it is that you don't have to make gnarly sounds out of it. You can make even powerful saws into it, and it's very easy to use. You just have to dedicate on your time out of it. And then if you add some of the LFOs into it, you add some of the frequency shifters and other stuff on top of it, like the sky's the limit, into it. Number 3 top plugins. Let me see another one that I currently use. Another one is actually, I'm not gonna Spire. Spire is actually pretty good and it's affordable because Spire can actually give you some good saws, like good melodic chords, melodies, and plucky sounds and bells and whatnot. Spire is actually pretty good on that. The hip hop community uses Spire a lot on that one, but I know a lot of house producers use Spire as well. It's in competition with Silent, but Silence is right up there. But Spire, I would recommend, to do so you can come up with some actually happy stuff out of it. You can use Spire. It's actually pretty good. Number 2. Let me see. Yeah. 5, 4, 3. Number 2. Phase Plant. Phase Plant is the next level sound design. I kid you not. I started messing around with Phase Plant and it's amazing. Like you can do so much more. And it's from the people from Kilohertz. Shout out to those guys. They got real cool stuff with FX and now with this new plugin. It's literally the next plugin that trending right now, excuse me, for people who are trying to make new sounds and trying to make up and comers, Faceplan. And they have a good program in which you can basically like have a subscription to pay $10 a month, and you can have that song and all the effects as long as you want to. And you can stop the subscription whenever you want. You can cancel it. So Faceplan is definitely a must to, because it is expensive, but you can afford it with a subscription. I remember I did like 2 songs with Faceplan, and I was like, "Ooh, amazing!" But it's a lot of hard. It's hard to get into it, but it's worth it. Like it's worth the end game out of it. Yeah, I recommend Faceplan. That's mine too. Before I hit number 1, because I'm pretty sure everybody knows which is number 1, I'll give you some notable mentions, some honorable mentions of you should also keep an eye on these plugins, like Silent. I don't know if Silent still uses it, but I know that Omnisphere is definitely like the most expensive one, but it's the one that every producer uses for heavy chords, melodic stuff, and chord progressions and melodies and plugs and styles. Like it's like Spire and Silent on steroids, basically. And is there another honorable mention? They might be it. I don't think another plugin that I'll use for sound designing. I guess resampling. Ableton's resample option is another form of sound designing, but it's not a plugin. So I cannot think of another honorable mention other than those 2 on top of my head. But we all know which is the king of sound designing. We all know which is the one that everybody goes to, and is the one and only Serum. X4 Records Serum is the number 1 sound designing that's highly recommended for anybody, because believe it or not, Serum is actually the most user-friendly plugin of all. The downside about using Serum is that everybody has it. So everybody knows how to use it, and everybody knows how to fuck with it, and everybody knows how to sound almost the same, which makes sound design a whole lot challenging and hard to get, because everybody will sound the same because of using it. However, there are ways to go with Serum, and Serum is definitely very limitless, and that's how I use all my sound design drops on my projects. Like I start with Serum, I do something on Serum, I got my sound, I bounce it or extract the audio clip out of it, and then I start resampling and then start adding shit and start messing around even more, and before you know it, I got the actual drop that I want to use. So Serum is very affordable as well, semi-affordable, because I bought it for the actual price for $200. Like a couple months later, Splice decided to use the famous rent-to-own option, in which you pay a certain amount a month until you finally paid off Serum and you finally own it, which is the smartest thing you can do. I wish I could have actually hold that up for a bit and I could have saved it for that. But needless to say, don't have zero regrets of getting Serum. It is my go-to plugin for anything, because I've recreated like literally sub basses for all of my drops, for all my songs. The bass lines, the sub bass, it comes from Serum as well. I've done kicks around it. It's easy. It's not that hard, but you can do so much more. Like you can recreate anything. I've seen people recreating even the sound of a ball dropping into the floor, that you can hear the boom. It's amazing. You can do so much more with it, and you can also drop any samples and drop it into the waveform tablets, and then automate it, and then fuck up more of the sound, so you can do just more and more and more. Like it's endless how you use Serum, you know. And obviously, like I said, the downside to Serum is that everybody has it, and it's standard for the bass community. It is what it is, you know. And those are my final recommendations of which plugins you should get, you know. And everybody has their own price, so I guess, yeah. Thank you guys for listening, and remember, every week it's a brand new episode with a brand new topic. So be sure to like and subscribe for your weekly episodes at the Lone Wolv Podcast for SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and as well as the YouTube channel at lonewolfpod.com. That's lonewolfpod.com. Comment down below and let me hear your thoughts, your experience, what you guys think about the episode. If you guys got something to say, let me know. If you guys got a topic that you want me to cover, I'm all ears about it, guys. So I'll definitely take any considerations on any topics and I'll cover it. And guys, you can also follow me at any of my social medias at Wolves and Music, and also at Twitch for any times I'm gonna be streaming some of my sessions or even the episodes before it airs. So thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you guys at the next one. Deuces.